Assalamu alaikum everyone. Welcome to PIDE seminar on National Housing Policy, a framework for affordable, inclusive and sustainable shelter for all. As we all know, Pakistan is facing a serious housing crisis that affects millions of households, especially low income and vulnerable groups. Urban areas alone face a shortage of nearly 9 million housing units, driven by rapid population growth and fast urbanization. Almost half of urban population lives in slums like Kachi Abadis due to limited access to affordable housing, limited housing finance, climate risk, and weak regulatory system have further increased the challenge. The National Housing Policy 2025 aims to provide a long-term framework to address these issues by promoting affordable, inclusive, and climate resilient housing. The policy focuses on vertical development, financial innovation, institutional reform, and protection of marginalized groups. It serves as guiding framework for coordinated action by federal, provincial, and local governments. For this topic, we are honored to have Dr. Malik Asghar Naeem. Dr. Saab is currently serving as Chief Planner at the Federal Government Employees Housing Authority. He has over 3 decades of experience in urban planning, housing policy, and public sector development. Dr. Saab has previously served as Principal Urban Planner at Pakistan and as Assistant Professor at NUST and ComSat University. He holds a postdoctoral qualification from MIT, USA, a PhD from University of Hong Kong, and advanced degrees from AIT Bangkok and UET Lahore. Dr. Saab has extensively worked on affordable housing, sustainable urban development, and housing policy reforms. His academic and professional background make him well suited to discuss the topic and brief us about the national housing policy and its implementation challenges. With that, sir, over to you.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Now, Usama Abdul Rauf, thank you very much for the superb introduction. I am pleased to be with the beautiful minds, including academics, students, researchers, and practitioners. As reflected on the screen, today I'm going to talk about National Housing Policy 2025. A number of stakeholders have worked on it, and it is still in draft phase, and it is going to be submitted to Cabinet by the mid of this month, and hopefully it will be approved by the Cabinet, and it will be just a guiding principles for the housing sector in urban and rural areas of Pakistan. So this is the background of the initiative. The Ministry of Housing and Works was directed by the Prime Minister of Pakistan to review the previous national housing policy that was formulated in the year 2001. So after 24 years, the policy is being revised and updated. So this initiative reflects the solemnity of the current regime for tackling the critical issue that is housing. So what is the importance of housing? It is everyone's business. It matters to each and everyone. And if we look at, it is one of the basic human rights. From where we get this Universal Declaration of Human Rights, and its Article 25 declares that housing is one of the basic rights, including the others, even in our constitution, because Pakistan is one of the signatories of this Universal Declaration. That so we have to follow, and it is one of the responsibility of the governments to provide housing to its citizens. So look at the housing crisis. So as per latest census, 241.5 million is our population. And even it is said that it might be a little bit more than these figures. 38.9% of total population is living in urban areas. And urban growth rate is 3.67. That is even more than our national annual population growth rate, that is 2.5%. So overall growth rate 2.5%, urban growth rate is 3.6%. So it means our urban areas are growing rapidly, even at a rapid pace than our overall population growth. And there are a number of studies that believe that there are 9 to 10 million housing backlog in Pakistan. Another studies says 50% of urban population is living in slums and squatter settlements. These are the alarming statistics. So therefore, housing is critically important, but still we are lagging behind in providing housing. And when we say it is hard or it is a critical issue, we talk about affordable housing, because housing is not a big issue for the elite class, for the high income groups, but for the middle income and low income group, it is really a big challenge. So we started this process last year. And so this is a sequence. How did we start this initiative? So a working and expert group was constituted by the Ministry of Housing and Works, and there was review of the existing policy. So there were extensive brainstorming engagements with the stakeholders. There were focus group discussions, and based on those, we refined the policy draft. So this is just a working group that was notified by the Ministry of Housing and Works. And although I am working with the Federal Government Employees Housing Authority as chief planner, so I was engaged with this Ministry of Housing and Works because our authority is an attached department of this ministry. So Ministry of Housing and Works, there are 4 or 5 departments under this ministry, and same is the Federal Government Employees Housing Authority. So I was attached with this because I had some experience. I have the exposure. So they asked me to be the coordinator and take this initiative. So this is the list of the experts group, working group. And then we made an expert group. You say this is a very extensive. We took people from the academia, not only from Pakistan, but also from the people working in UAE, in New Zealand, in Australia, and even in UK. So there were practitioners from CDA, from other development authorities, and there were people from even the NGOs, international development organization like UN Habitat. So what we did, we floated our draft, we got their feedback, and we made the specific groups related to their expertise. And so they worked, each and every one, they were grouped together and they worked on the drafting the housing policy. So while working on this, what kind of issue we faced? One was after 18th Amendment, housing is a provincial subject, right? So the one question that was raised, that why the national government, why the federal government should be concerned about making a housing policy, while it has been devolved. Now it is a provincial subject. So then we looked around, we looked at US, we looked at UK, we looked at Malaysia, other developing countries. So everywhere, the national government, the federal government provides umbrella kind of policy. That is a framework. That is the guiding principles, while the provinces fit in those frameworks according to their own needs and requirements that are specific to area, specific to their priorities. So that's why you can see, so what the national policy is, it is basically a guiding principle, a framework. So we are not giving details, we are not suggesting or imposing something on the provinces, but this is a broader framework. And under this framework, each and every province is free to even make their own policies and to implement those. Conducted stakeholder engagements. So this is after preparation of draft, we consulted all these ministries at the federal level as well as at the provincial level. And even we shared the draft with international development agencies and got their feedback on our policy draft. And we tried to incorporate their feedback because they have the international exposure, experience, like the World Bank, the Asian Development Bank, UN Habitat, and Japan International Cooperation Agency. So you might be aware the World Bank is already working in Punjab Affordable Housing Program. They have given funding, and the Asian Development Bank is working in Sindh, where they are trying to for a rehabilitation of flood affected people. So similarly, UN Habitat is such an agency that is working on housing and slums since long time in Pakistan and all over the world. So Japan International Cooperation Agency that is also providing funds, guidance. So and it's one of the sector is the housing. Okay, so one thing we started with, we tried to review the housing policy 2001, and we tried to identify what kind of gaps are there that we need to fill in. So we identified these gaps. The previous housing policy was not mentioning of the following provisions: compact, mixed use, and high-rise housing development. Maybe it was in the housing was not a big issue, or the land, it was not considered as a scarce and rare resource. So they overlooked this issue, the compact and mixed use development. Similarly, green, energy efficient, climate, and disaster resilience housing. So this aspect was not mentioned in previous policy. And another important thing is there was no mention of encouraging corporate sector to facilitate its employees to providing them with housing facilities. So it was totally missing. While there are a number of studies that if you intend to solve an issue, there is a tripartite cooperation that is compulsory that can tackle the issues. And what are the three stakeholders in that tripartite cooperation? One is the government, another is the civil society, and the third is the business. And the business is considered more important and efficient because they have the resources. Usually they hire very competent people on very high salary. So until and unless we don't bring the civil society as well as on the business, so on the table, it is hard to solve the issues. So this aspect was totally overlooked in previous policy. Another was there was no mention of establishing a fund to facilitate land banking. So although they talked about land banking, but how it will work, from where it will get the funds. So it was not mentioned there in previous policy. Another big I think the missing gap, the missing link was that there was nothing mentioned about implementation, monitoring, and evaluation. So there was no any individual chapter or discussion that how the policy will be implemented. So then, after identifying the gaps, so we try to fill these and formulate a new policy that is in the year 2025. Okay, so as I said, housing matters to each and everyone. So what are the current challenges in 2025? So when we try to look at that, So we came to know that all of the issues mentioned in the Housing Policy 2021 still exist, but with increased intensity, right? So mean we are standing there, but still there is no progress, but we have increased our issues. The housing problem has increased. Slums have increased, number of slums in each and every big city of Pakistan. Okay, so after having all these, reviewing the policy, this is the vision statement that we made. It is enable and deepen the housing market to deliver and ensure access to adequate, affordable, and sustainable housing for all. So, one, we want to deepen, we want to encourage the market so that there is more supply of housing. And I have underlined the important words, the adequate, affordable, and sustainable. What do we mean by adequate? What do we mean by affordable and sustainable? So, adequate housing helps prevent overcrowding, promote public health, and meet the increasing housing demand due to rapid urbanization and natural population growth. That is, what do we mean by adequate? It also includes adequate location, access to physical network, access to social networks, access to safe land, and suitable housing. So, what do we mean by affordable? Affordable is accessible pricing for low and middle income families. And what is sustainable? It is eco-friendly, green, efficient, and climate change adaptation. All these aspects and elements relate to sustainable. So we made a goal based on that, our vision. It also ensures access to climate resilient, adequate, affordable, and sustainable housing, particularly for lower and middle income groups in both rural and urban areas of Pakistan. So that vision goal are reflected into our housing objectives. So what is that? To increase the supply of the adequate housing. Second objective is to promote efficient land utilization. Third one is to enhance housing finance system. The fourth one is to promote the construction of housing that is climate sensitive, adaptive, and resilient. So energy efficiency is also part of that one. And to initiate efficient utilization of land in built up areas, particularly this is talking about urban regeneration. So these are what the key objectives of this housing policy. Effective tackle the issue of land speculation. Yes, land speculation is a big issue. So we invest in land. We're not investing in any industry, but that we have found one sector. Although nowadays it is under pressure, but previously, so if anyone wanted to get profit, there was the only one sector. So you buy a plot and keep it vacant. So after a few years, its price will be doubled. So that is the land speculation. You just invest there to get profit, but it is not utilized for any purpose. And another is to promote knowledge sharing and capacity building related to housing sector. As I talked previously, these are the key housing challenges that we see in our society. Shortage, the biggest issue. Second is the financial constraints, rising costs, fragmented framework. There are different institutions, different organizations, complex regulations, and the increasing number of informal settlements. So these are the 9 themes we came up. We grouped all these issues into these 9 themes, and then we assigned each theme to relevant experts, professionals. They worked on it. So the theme 1 is land for housing. Theme 2, planning and development of intermediate and secondary towns. Third is housing finance. Fourth, construction services. Fifth, slums. Six is about affordable, low-cost housing. Seventh is about green energy efficient housing. Eighth relates to institutional legal framework. And ninth is about capacity building. So what the pattern we have done? So there is each theme. What are issues associated with that theme? And what the policy measures can we suggest to overcome the issues? Land for housing. It is the basic ingredient of affordable housing. So we'll have first land, then we can have a house on that one. So what are the issues? Land scarcity coupled with urbanization. हमारे पास limited land है, urbanization fast है. So from where to find the land? Exorbitant land prices, जो हमारी पहुंच से भी दूर हैं, land prices. Illegal occupation and poor enforcement, underutilization of government land. So what the policy measures are there? So these are the planning tools, land banking and pooling. I'm not sure how many of you have know about land banking and pooling. So maybe from someone from sociology or geography or like those background, they may know the land banking and pooling system. Growth boundaries, compact cities, we have to go towards compact cities, anti-land speculation measures, mixed to high-rise development, and mixed use and transit-oriented development, land information system, and protection of fertile agricultural land. So really, we are facing a number of issues. On one hand, we need houses. On the second hand, we have to protect our agricultural land, right? And there is rising cost of land. So the land banking concept is that just like we invest in the bank to have some savings so that we may utilize that money whenever we need that one. So the land banking is our city development authorities, local government. So they should look at the direction, future growth direction of the city, and they should buy the land in advance. Because if you buy the land 25 years ahead of time, so you can get the cheaper land, right? So they should foresee what is the future direction of the city. And then they should invest there. The local government, the city, like CDA is here, like RDA is in Pindi, there is municipal corporation. So they should buy the land in advance when the land is cheap. So then the city is growing, and that bought land should be utilized for affordable housing. Because if the land cost is less, definitely the price will go down. So it will be in reach of the low and middle income group. So that is the land banking. And land pooling is just, there are 2-3 people who are the owners of land. So the government plays a role of a facilitator. So they ask them to pool their lands so that a housing scheme could be developed on that. So instead of giving housing construction sector to private sector only, the government should play the role of a facilitator, and they should pool the land with the help of those owners, and they will get their share out of that scheme. So this is the way how we can provide the affordable housing. Growth boundary concept is that in foreign countries, each city has a boundary. So no development can happen outside the boundary of the city. But in our cities, what is happening, you see where we have gone. In Islamabad, that was built from scratches, designed by a Greek architect, and now see what is happening there. So we have gone towards Rawat. We are touching Texla now. And if you go, we are touching Murray Hills. So this is the expand of our city. That's a planned city. And how about the other unplanned cities or naturally grown cities? So the reason is that the influential people buy land out of the city boundary. They buy land on cheaper price. And what then it happens? They build the housing scheme. and that is included in the city limit. And who is responsible to change the city limit? It is the assistant commissioner and deputy commissioner of a tehsil or district who has the authority. Okay, now I am increasing the limit of the city. So that's why our cities are expanding horizontally. We are unnecessarily destroying our agricultural land. Right? So you might have seen what happened in Multan or what is happening in some other areas where the orchards were destroyed and we built the housing schemes. So, uh, we are leading towards the food security issue because we should understand we have very limited fertile land. We don't have, it is not, the land is not produced in factories. It's really non-renewable and limited resource. That's why we have to utilize this very carefully and cautiously. So we need to go towards compact cities. Compact cities are where we go towards vertical development. We're not going horizontally. So that is the concept of compact cities. And then mid to high rise development, transit oriented development. Like we have metro. So the transit oriented development concept is that along that corridor, the transportation corridor, within 1 kilometer, we should have dense and high rise buildings. So that is known as transit oriented development. So where the middle class, the low income class, they can easily get the transport, they can go to their work, they can come back. So in this way, it is easy for them. The transportation becomes easy. The commercial area is nearby. So that is the concept of transit oriented development. And definitely, land information system is very important to keep all the records, to digitize the land records so that there is no dispute. Particularly in Pothohar region, still land information system has not been applied in full sense, and there are a lot of issues related to ownership because of absence of this land information system. And then I talked about the protection of fertile agricultural land. We have to utilize this very carefully. Planning and development of intermediate secondary towns. That is another issue. What we are doing, we are concentrating our resources in few cities. What are few cities? There are Islamabad, there is Lahore, there is Karachi, there is Faisalabad. And usually decisions are politically driven. Unfortunately, in Pakistan, the decisions for development, for investment are not based on logics, are not based on discussions, but these are the just politically driven decisions. So we see there are a lot of resources in few cities. And that's why there is huge migration from rural areas to urban areas. But the new concept is that we have to develop intermediate cities. So if you provide facilities, good institutions, health services, and infrastructure at some local level or intermediate city level, so there will be not influx of migration from other rural areas to few cities. Like in European countries, you might have seen even few towns or whole economy of the few towns is run on the basis of universities. That is small town, and there are 1-2 universities. So the whole town has developed because there is economic activity has been generated due to the universities. So what is happening there? All universities are being shifted. In our case, how many universities in Islamabad there are? Do you have some idea? Any rough ballpark figure? 30. There are more than 37 universities in Islamabad. You see, instead of why we are just concentrating in few cities, and the people are coming from rural areas, far-flung areas to to here, and they are causing a burden and putting a pressure on housing. And look at the hostels and look at the other resources. Why not you are providing a spreading out the development? Why you are concentrating in few cities? So that is the concept, that planning and development of intermediate secondary towns. So we have to reform urban policy. We have to empower local government. So when there is empowered local governance, definitely then there is investment development at local level instead of going towards few cities. And we need a balanced urban growth, and we need to invest in infrastructure and integrated urban policies. Okay, so we have 9 themes, but I'm touching to the major themes, right? So another major theme is housing finance, high borrowing cost, low mortgage penetration, and weak foreclosure laws, lender reluctance to extend credit, and complex registration. So how can I just mention it? In our country, in my Pakistan, it is quite easy. The bank representative are coming to your offices and going to knocking the door of your house. Do you want the loan for your car? It is easy to get a loan for car, but if you ask them, I need a loan for my house, they will never lend you. Why? Because there is corporate sector behind that, and here it is a common low middle income community, people who are in need of house, but there's no loan available for them. So that is another big issue. Housing finance is not available in our country. It is available in limited quantity, and only the influential people enjoy. But the middle class, when you go to banks and ask them for loan for housing, so it is hard to get the loans. So we just if I give a figure, that consumer mortgage to GDP, that is the one yardstick to measure. So in Pakistan, it is 0.3% consumer mortgage to GDP ratio. In Bangladesh, it is 1.9%. In India, it is 10%. In Germany, it is 30%. In Malaysia, it is 44%. So you can imagine, you can look at how much easily loan is available in those countries for housing finance, and how difficult it is in our country. And then there was two studies, and they found that the loan that has been given to consumers by the banks, so more than 50% are their own employees. So that is another, I mean, they are facilitating their own employees, but not to the other general public. So housing finance is a big issue. That's why these are the policy measures that have been suggested. While if you look at other developed countries, their people buy their house on mortgage financing basis. It is quite easy. You can apply, you can easily get the finance, and over a number of periods, maybe 10 years, 20 years, in Canada, in UK, in USA. So you can check, your relatives might be there, brothers, sisters might be there. It's quite common there, but this practice is not here in our country. Okay, so this relates to construction technology. We have to improve. We need the local material. We need to improve our supply chains. We need to give incentives to that one. And another big issue that I want to talk is slums and Kachi Abadis. Islamabad, a capital city, even in Islamabad, there are more than 63 slums and Kachi Abadis. So this is the situation. And slums and Kachi Abadis are indicators. What indicates? They indicate that there is something wrong with our governance system and our system of urban planning and management, because they are not providing enough housing. That's why most of the white collar workers find no other way but to live in slums and squatter settlements. So even in Islamabad, you can see, so there are students, the middle class workers doing white collar jobs, they are living in slum areas because sectoral area is so costly, they can't afford to live there. Affordable rural rental housing. So definitely we have to look towards this issue, and we are suggesting establishment of real estate regulatory authority to overcome the issues and to provide loans to the people. And same is with the rural housing. And in Pakistan, there is at government level there is no rental housing. So what is happening? Look at the universities. Few years back, the government of Pakistan announced that they will no more invest on government houses. So nowadays, there is only the previous limited stock. No new housing is being provided to government employees. So that's why there's a lot of pressure on housing. You need the influences, the references if you want, and there is a long queue. Maybe you have to live without government accommodation. A government employee particularly has to live. So reason, I don't know how did they make decisions. Most of the universities don't have hostels for the students. There are industries and there is no labor colonies attached with the industries. How come? What kind of nation we are, right? So we are running universities and the students are living in bad conditions, in low quality hostels. So why not? Where is the HEC and other? Why not they are asking them, if you want to build some universities, there are proper standards. You have to comply with these standards. You have to provide the accommodation to them. But it is not happening. That is why in Islamabad, there are a lot of issues related to housing as well. So green energy efficient, there are a number of codes, rules, regulations, but there is implementation is weak, right? So there is a need that those codes, rules, regulations should be implemented in letter and spirit. And institutional legal framework, there are 2-3 departments. If you look at federal level, there is CDA, there is Federal Government Employees Housing Authority, there is PHA, and then there is private sector who are involved in housing. So that is a fragmented kind of legal framework. In Turkey, they succeeded in providing affordable housing because they merged all departments, made one powerful and resourceful authority, and then they were successful in providing affordable housing. So perhaps we have to look towards that one as well. So capacity building is, we are a data deficient country. It is really hard to get data, to get information in our country. And that's why we are suggesting a data bank to be established. When you have the data related to housing in Ministry of Housing and Works, so that whenever you want some data, you can get that data. And there's housing policy implementation, monitoring and review, and we are suggesting that. And this is one conceptual plan. So can anyone see which area this one is? Any idea? If you are from Islamabad and if you have been moving around Centaurus, you can see the 3 towers, right? ये G8 का फ्रांस कॉलोनी एक स्लम एरिया है, ठीक है. अब इसका एक कंसेप्चुअल प्लान ये है कि इफ वी कन्वर्ट इट इनटू दैट वन, so whole area, whole these houses, small houses, kacha houses, they could be given one apartment in this high-rise building. So what will be that? There will be residential apartments for original slum residents. There will be commercial spaces, and idea is that the commercial spaces will be sold on market price. So there have been calculations. So you will earn so much revenue that you can provide the apartments to the original residents without any cost. So, but there is lack of planning and lack of implementation. So this will be the and this is happening in Malaysia, by the way. In Kuala Lumpur, there were slum areas. They call it a kampung. But see how they have developed now, and there are zero slums in Kuala Lumpur. But in Islamabad, there are around 63 slum areas because of this. Action plan. Without action plan, without actions, we can't do anything. Right? So it reminds me, I don't know how many of you, आप सारे इकोनॉमिस्ट हैं, सारे डेटा से रिलेटेड और कुछ सोशल साइंसेस से भी कुछ लोग हैं.
Yes, yeah. There are some.
There are some. Right? Okay. So नया साल है. Right? We are talking about new housing policy. So it reminds me of one poem and one question asked by Faiz Ahmad Faiz, जो उन्होंने नए साल से कहा था कि ऐ नए साल बता तुझ में नयापन क्या है, क्यों हर तरफ खल्क ने शोर मचा रखा है. सो दैट इज द बिगनिंग. उसमें एक जो अच्छी एक चीज है, वो कहते हैं कि एक हिंसे का बदलना कोई जिद्दत तो नहीं. मतलब देयर वाज 25 एंड इट इज 26, सो एक हिंसा ही तो बदला है. तो इससे क्या फर्क पड़ता है? तो अगर नया है तो दिखा सुबह नई शाम नई, वरना इन आंखों ने देखे हैं नए साल कई. ठीक है. सो सेम द क्वेश्चन वी कैन आस्क दिस हाउसिंग पॉलिसी कि जी अगर एक ये कुछ नई चीज है, जो एक कॉमन सिटीजन है वो क्वेश्चन करेगा ये कि जनाब पॉलिसियां तो हमने कई देखी हैं, तो हम तो उस वक्त मानेंगे जब सुबह नहीं होगी शाम नहीं होगी. मींस जब एक कॉमन पर्सन, उसको एक अपार्टमेंट मिला हुआ होगा, वो एक बाइज्जत तरीके से रह रहा होगा, उसको सारी फैसिलिटीज भी होंगी, वाटर सप्लाई है, गैस है, अच्छा इन्वायरमेंट है, ओपन स्पेस है. राइट? सो विदाउट एक्शन प्लान हम ये जो ख्वाब हैं ये अचीव नहीं कर सकते. सो दैट्स व्हाई we have prepared the action plan for that. And
Are you going to share?
sorry,
Are you going to share it here or?
no, I'm not going to share action plan, but maybe I can send to you. You can have a look. So what is the basic purpose? Because housing relates to everyone. That's why we want to share with you. We wanted to get your feedback on it. So what, as being citizen of Pakistan, as having facing the issues, what do you foresee? How you will suggest something that we can add this dimension to overcome the issues? Because वो क्या कहते हैं कि मेरे खुदा मुझे इतना तो मोतबर कर दे, मैं जिस मकाम में रहता हूं उसे घर कर दे. और ये कितना बड़ा इशू है, जस्ट टू शो यू द सिवियरिटी. और ये वो इशू है जो फर्स्ट टाइम I realized when after my PhD, I was working at Asian Institute of Technology in Thailand, and there were more than 100 Pakistani students who were supported by HEC scholarship and doing their masters leading to PhD studies. And there were a number of female students there. So चूंकि मैं वहाँ job कर रहा था and my family was there, so we had an interaction with the female students from Pakistan. Then I heard for the first time कुछ फीमेल स्टूडेंट्स ने ये कहा जो लाहौर से थी, जो किसी और शहर से थी. उन्होंने कहा जी हमारे रिश्ते इस वजह से नहीं हो रहे, जो भी देखने आते हैं वो कहते हैं आपको तो अपना घर ही नहीं है. सो आई वॉज अमेज्ड. That was the first time I heard this. No, so now I feel, yes, it is such an important issue. It gives you identity, right? So it gives you attachment. अब देखिए लोगों को फिक्र होना शुरू हो गई है. Okay, so that's why housing relates to everyone, and the government should try to provide decent housing to each and everyone. Okay, just one thing I wanted to share with them.
Sure.
Just वो slide previous दिखाएंगे जरा. Okay, so another thing that I wanted to share with you is that while I was working at NUST, and I was assistant professor there, and I got this visiting fellowship from MIT, USA, and because they provided resources to us. They were providing $4,000 to each of the visiting scholars, and they were providing research expenses. So it about making the cities sustainable. So this is MIT open source. There are number of articles, and there were 5 years. In each session, there were number of faculty members from different countries. So I was lucky that I was selected in the first batch, that was 2014 and 15. So all these visiting scholars from China and Africa and Malaysia and Egypt. So perhaps if anyone is interested, they can go and look at, there are teaching modules, videos, and there are the papers that we published based on our research that we conducted in Malaysia. So it was the Malaysia Sustainable Cities Program. It was supported by MIT and the University of Technology, Malaysia. Perhaps if anyone interested, they can use this resource as well. Sure. Thank you very much, Ji. So if you have any questions, please.
Thank you so much, sir. Wonderful presentation. I hope we all stand educated. Now we open the floor for Q&A. If anyone has any questions. Dr. Istafar.
सर पहले अपना मुझे बताएं, what's your background and what you are doing here?
बस जिस जगह से आप आए हैं वहाँ अभी हम हैं. आई एम एसोसिएट प्रोफेसर है डॉक्टर इफ्तिखार अहमद.
अच्छा माशाल्लाह.
हाँ, सो आपने कहा कि मैं असिस्टेंट प्रोफेसर था नासमा, सो वी कैन टॉक फ्रीली नाउ, ओपनली. Okay, starting with this, like housing for all, I think it's an imagination as per our given realities. Just few, not I think couple of kilometers, we are vacating land which is worth billion of rupees, but we can't build 2 towers for them. They are the people who are serving us, but we can't accommodate them, right? And we just want to vacate them. You are saying that in G8, the whole slum can be fit in one building.
High-rise building, yes.
But what's stopping us then?
Yes.
If we are vacating a land which is worth billions, so a single plot can accommodate all those who are being affected. And they are not outsiders or the land grabbers. They are those people like peons or
Yes.
just the blue collar people. So what's stopping us then?
Yes.
Secondly, with your salary, which is the area where, don't take it personally, but just it fits in for all of us, that which is the area where you are able to buy a plot, let alone the house. And Margala Orchard, in Margala Enclave, or any place.
Of course.
Right? And if a person buy a plot with a land entitlement, the CDA or the federal government employees housing authority or the others comes in and says, no, you are illegal, you don't have the NOC. So if you have the NOC, so that is not affordable for me. Being sitting in grade 20, I can't afford. Like in Margala, the plot is worth 1.4 million, 14 million, right? So how, when will I buy and when will I construct a house? So that's the reality.
Yes.
The people were blocking the roads the other day.
No, let me please.
And one last thing, the federal government employees is currently developing a 9,000 acres of land for Supreme Court bar and Supreme Court judges in the heart of Islamabad.
Just opposite University.
Yeah. And those who are being sent out, how are they being compensated? The 5 Marla compensation is 5 lakh. So is it adequate housing?
Let me explain this.
So these are the ground realities.
So
and
I 3 questions.
Yeah.
There are 3 questions. One is why we are not going towards high rise when we are talking about there is conceptual plans, there are studies, there are calculations, practical calculations. What we have suggested and even at CDA, their planning officers have conducted the studies. So there is G6, Apara, you see there are small quarters of employees. So we can go towards high rise, we can build beautiful apartments and each and everyone could fit in there. Another is I talked about the slum area, right? So G8, France Colony. So yes, we can go towards high rise and even there will be no cost because the commercial, the ground plus 4 stories. Ground will be for commercial, 4 stories will be for offices. All these will be sold on market price. So the revenue generated from these, the commercial plus the offices, it will be enough to have a high-rise apartments and to accommodate all those residents living in slum
You're
areas.
just talking about one block,
Yes,
commercial,
yes,
let alone the rest of the area.
yes. So we have submitted these proposals. We have been talking to the concerned authorities. I don't know where is the bottleneck. Where is the bottleneck? God knows better. So this is one reality. And I should tell you honestly, who is running the country? These are not the technocrats. These are the bureaucrats who make decisions without consulting the technical staff. Even they don't have the background. But because they are from administrative services and they think, even I have studied just political science, I have studied only the sociology and geography, but I know better than each and everyone. So I have to make the decisions. This is really reality that I have seen in our public sector. I have been in universities, although I started my career with Government of Punjab as being Assistant Director of Housing and Town Planning. But most of the time I have been in universities. I have been working with United Nations universities projects in Thailand. So when I came here, then here again, I was at NUST and ComSat. But then I thought, what the theories I have learned, what the experience I have, why should not I apply it in practical life? So that's why when I got opportunity, I joined Federal Government Employees Housing Authority as Chief Planner. But it is really hard for technocrats to give their opinion because their opinion doesn't value. But there are others to decide. Right? So otherwise, why we are living here? This is, but of course, वो कहते हैं ना व्यवस्था रहे शजर से उम्मीदें बाहर रख तो डेफिनेटली तो वो शाम लंबी है तो शाम ही तो है सुबह होनी है
Yeah,
so
just about the federal government.
yes.
How do you evaluate their performance in terms of compensation?
Okay, what is the issues? Yes, what the issues we have felt here, because we particularly give plots and apartments to federal government employees. So our priority is we will give plot or we will give the apartments to federal government employees. But in apartments, we have also included the provincial government employees as well, even the common citizens as well. So what is the issue? The issue is they don't have the purchasing capacity, and then they don't have access to banks to get the loan that I told you in our country. So there is 0.3% of consumer mortgage to GDP ratio. So whenever someone go to the bank that I want to buy this, purchase this, and I don't have money, तो वो उनको नहीं देते. अच्छा, अगर देते भी हैं लोन, उसकी लिमिट टेन्योर कितना है? Only 3 to 5 years. But now we are talking about that it should be 20 to 30 years. ठीक है, जब इतना लेंथी टेन्योर होगा और आप उस इंस्टॉलमेंट्स को डिवाइड करें तो जितना रेंट आप पे कर रहे हैं सो एटलीस्ट उतना ही पे करेंगे, लेकिन आपका अपना एसेट बन जाएगा. राइट? सो दैट्स व्हाई वी हैव सजेस्टेड इन दिस पॉलिसी. So I am in grade 20 now. तो मैं भी रेंट के घर में रह रहा हूँ. And I am paying rent that is equal to 100,000. तो मैंने बैंक की जो हमारे मीटिंग्स में लोग आते हैं, सो जो स्टेट बैंक के हैं और एक है पाकिस्तान मॉर्गेज रीफाइनेंसिंग कंपनी. ये वो इदारा है जो कि बैंक्स को लोन प्रोवाइड करता है कि आप हाउसिंग मॉर्गेज के लिए लोन प्रोवाइड करेंगे. So the World Bank, the other international agencies, they get money from there, and then from it goes to the banks. तो वहां पे अभी ये suggestions चल रही हैं, and we have written in this policy कि आप टेन्योर को बढ़ाएं, इसको 20 to 30 years करें, फिर ये affordable होगा. Otherwise हम कोई भी afford नहीं कर सकता. So what is happening? This is issue. What is happening in our apartments, in our plots? गवर्नमेंट सर्वेंट क्या करते हैं? हम चूंकि उसको प्लॉट देते हैं सब्सिडाइज रेट पे. ठीक है, अगर मार्केट में एक प्लॉट की प्राइस है फर्ज करें 10 लाख, सो जो गवर्नमेंट एम्प्लॉय है वो उसको लेगा 7 लाख. 6 लाख। ठीक है। अब वो जो गैप है, मोस्टली क्या करते हैं गवर्नमेंट एम्प्लॉय, क्योंकि उनकी अफोर्डेबिलिटी नहीं है, वो कुछ पैसे इधर उधर से लेके अपफ्रंट मनी पे करते हैं, वन इंस्टॉलमेंट देते हैं, और देन दे से ओ वी आर अनएबल टू पे, हमारी तो सैलरी इतना नहीं है। सो व्हाट दे डू, दे सेल द प्लॉट इन द मार्केट। वो जो उसको डिफरेंस मिलता है, मे बी 8 लाख, 15 लाख, 10 लाख, वो पॉकेट में डालता है, और वो प्लॉट फिर वहां प्राइवेट सेक्टर में चला जाता है। तो दिस इज इशू, एंड आई हैव टॉक्ड अबाउट मेनी टाइम्स कि सर इसको देखें। जो हमारा ऑब्जेक्टिव है टू प्रोवाइड शेल्टर टू शेल्टर लेस गवर्नमेंट एम्प्लॉयज, वो पूरा नहीं हो रहा, राइट। सो अनफॉर्चुनेटली अनफॉर्चुनेटली देयर इज नो विजन। हम जो डेली बेसिस के काम है हमारे गवर्नमेंट सेक्टर में, वो उसी को देख रहे हैं, बिकॉज कोई श्योरिटी नहीं है लॉन्ग टर्म, कोई पॉलिसी नहीं है। एक गवर्नमेंट जाती है, दूसरी आती है, सारी चीजें स्टॉप, एंड देन अ न्यू पॉलिसी स्टार्ट्स। जबकि डेवलप दुनिया में ऐसा नहीं होता। सो दैट्स वाई हम एक एक उसमें फंसे हुए हैं। ठीक है। तो और एंड द कॉमन पीपल आर फेसिंग द इश्यूज। सो डॉक्टर अताउर रहमान से किसी ने कहा था कि जनाब आप हायर एजुकेशन की बात करते हैं, यूनिवर्सिटीज बना रहे हैं, सो व्हाट अबाउट द गवर्नमेंट स्कूल्स। तो उनका बड़ा अच्छा था, जवाब था कि जब हमारी ब्यूरोक्रेसी के बच्चे गवर्नमेंट स्कूलों में जाना शुरू कर देंगे, या उनके लिए कंपलसरी कर दिया जाएगा कि अगर तुम गवर्नमेंट एम्प्लॉय हो तो आपके बच्चे गवर्नमेंट स्कूलों में जाएंगे, मतलब एज बीइंग गवर्नमेंट एम्प्लॉय, मैं प्रेफर करता हूं मुझे गवर्नमेंट का घर तो मिल जाए, मैं प्रेफर करता हूं मुझे गवर्नमेंट की गाड़ी मिल जाए, देन व्हाई आई डोंट प्रेफर गवर्नमेंट स्कूल। तो डॉक्टर अताउर रहमान ने कहा था जब हमारे ये एलीट सो कॉल्ड ब्यूरोक्रेसी के बच्चे गवर्नमेंट स्कूलों में जाना शुरू कर देंगे, आप देखिएगा उनका स्टैंडर्ड अप हो जाएगा। बिकॉज करंटली ये पैरेलल चीजें चल रही हैं। यू माइट हैव हर्ड, मे बी आई माइट बी लिटिल बिट हार्श इन सेइंग अपार्थाइड। अपार्थाइड जो उसकी प्रोनाउंसिएशन है, साउथ अफ्रीका में ये वर्ड यूज हुआ था, अपार्थाइड। इट मीन्स के सेग्रीगेशन बेस्ड ऑन रेस, राइट। सो ये गोरे का स्कूल है, ये काले का स्कूल है, ये इस सड़क पे गोरे चलेंगे, इस सड़क पे काले चलेंगे, ठीक है। यहां गोरे रहेंगे, यहां काले रहेंगे। सो इनविजिबल वॉल्स आर देयर इन आवर सोसाइटी एज वेल। अगर हम थोड़ा डीप होके देखें तो यहाँ पे जो एलीट क्लास है सो कॉल्ड, उन्होंने अपने लिए एक अलहदा सिस्टम बना लिया है, प्राइवेट स्कूल्स, प्राइवेट यूनिवर्सिटीज, फिर गवर्नमेंट स्कूल्स। और फिर एक एक गवर्नमेंट स्कूल का बच्चा उस प्राइवेट वाले स्कूल से कैसे compete करेगा। फिर ये होता है कि वही बच्चा जॉब भी हासिल करता है थ्रू बाय हुक एंड क्रुक, और वो जो लोअर मिडिल इनकम ग्रुप है, चाहे वो जितना टैलेंटेड हो, सो दिस इज द विशियस सर्कल ऑफ पॉवर्टी, कि वो गरीब गरीब तारी होता चला जा रहा है, और वो उसी साइकिल में ही है। और एक और क्लास है जिसने रूल भी करना है, वो डिप्टी कमिश्नर भी वही बनेगा, असिस्टेंट कमिश्नर भी, और सारे डिसीजंस भी वो करेंगे।
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Do we have any other question?
जी वालेकुम अस्सलाम।
Please wait for mic.
अस्सलाम वालेकुम। मुस्तफ़ा कमाल, एमफिल पब्लिक पॉलिसी। सर दो क्वेश्चन है। मैं आई ग्रेजुएटेड फ्रॉम कायद आज़म यूनिवर्सिटी। जिस तरह सर स्लम की बात की है, यहाँ पे बहुत से स्टूडेंट्स कच्ची आबादियों में रह रहे हैं, तो गवर्नमेंट एक्शन क्यों नहीं लेता जब इतना ज़्यादा स्पेस है कायद आज़म यूनिवर्सिटी के पास? तो प्राइवेट स्टेक होल्डर को लाए या प्राइवेट हॉस्टल बनाए, स्टूडेंट्स के लिए भी आसानी होगी, और ये स्लम साथ साथ ख़त्म हो जाएगा। और दूसरी बात सर, ये जो बरीमाम कच्ची आबादी, ये सर गवर्नमेंट का क्या कोर्स ऑफ एक्शन है, कितने लेवल पे ये डिमोलिश करेंगे, इसकी लीगलिटी इलीगलिटी, सर ये क्या नैरेटिव है गवर्नमेंट का? थैंक यू।
ये सीडीए का एम्बिट है, उसके से असर आते हैं। जब मास्टर प्लान बना था इस्लामाबाद का, सीए डॉक सीएडीएस ने बनाया था, उस वक्त प्लान ये था कि सीडीए जो एक अथॉरिटी डेवलप की गई थी, दे विल बाय द लैंड थ्रू फेजेस, एंड और लैंड एक्विजिशन एक्ट वो लागू किया गया था। सो दे विल कंपल्सरली बाय उसके बाद फिर जो जियाउल हक का इरा था उसमें ये हुआ था कि जी आप कंपलसरी जो एक्विजिशन करते हैं उसमें रेट्स बहुत लो होते हैं, अगर आपने अक्वायर भी करना है तो मार्केट रेट पे अक्वायर करेंगे। सो मेरे ख्याल में आपका ये भी क्वेश्चन था कि अब अगर गवर्नमेंट ने लैंड अक्वायर करनी है दे हैव टू गिव द मार्केट रेट, उससे बिलो नहीं दे सकते। ठीक है। अच्छा, दूसरी दूसरी चीज ये आपने कहा कि देखें, एक तो जो रूलिंग रिजीम है, जो डिपार्टमेंट है वो आपका एचईसी है जो यूनिवर्सिटीज को कंट्रोल करता है, रेगुलेट करता है। सो आई थिंक एचईसी को चाहिए कि जो भी यूनिवर्सिटी नई एस्टेब्लिश होती है उसका एक कंपल्सरी कंपोनेंट होना चाहिए हॉस्टल्स फॉर द स्टूडेंट्स। ठीक है। अच्छा, नष्ट में रहते हुए जो एक स्टेट ऑफिसर था, मैंने और उसने एक वैसी स्टडी की थी कि ये जो एक एक छोटा सा दो टावर्स थे जिसमें पोस्ट ग्रेजुएट स्टूडेंट्स और फैकल्टी रहती थी, मेरिट पोस्ट ग्रेजुएट स्टूडेंट्स और फैकल्टी। तो उसने ये बताया कैलकुलेशंस के थ्रू कि जब से ये बना है और रेंट इसको नस्ट को पे किया जा रहा है, तो जो कास्ट नस्ट ने इस पे लगाई थी, नस्ट हैज रिकवर्ड द कास्ट। सो आप देखें उस नस्ट का एसेट बन चुका है, राइट, क्योंकि और सोर्स ऑफ इनकम है, जो भी इंप्लॉय जो भी स्टूडेंट रहेगा वो रेंट पे करेगा, जबकि वो एसेट है और वो दे हैव रिकवर्ड द कास्ट। आई जस्ट वंडर कि ये फिलॉसफी इनकी समझ में क्यों नहीं आती जो कि आप जो नहीं बना रहे।
जी अलम प्लीज।
जी sir, this is Alam Khan.
Yes.
I am from Rasta Research Fellow. Sir, I have a question. Sir, I have do my knowledge brief about the urban and rural plannings. Sir, is there some link between the national house scheme with the urban planning or management? As we have seen to 2023 census, there are 615 localities is urban and 47K almost localities is rural. Sir, when we see focus on Islamabad, there is just 12 localities urban and 129 localities are rurals. Sir, and huge bureaucracy and local government are involved. There is not clear urban definition which are existing throughout the globes. Sir, the fundamental issue is the urban mismanagement or the housing, national housing policy. Sir, how we will address it?
अच्छा, इफ वी लुक एट इस्लामाबाद, मैं आपकी एक क्लैरिफिकेशन कर दूं कि इस्लामाबाद में रूरल एरिया नहीं है। इसका जो 906.5 स्क्वायर किलोमीटर एरिया है, यू गॉट इट, इस्लामाबाद द होल एरिया इज 906.5 स्क्वायर किलोमीटर, ये सारा अर्बन कंसीडर होता है। ठीक है। आई डोंट नो कि ये प्रीवियसली इन्होंने इस तरह कर दिया था कि जो सेक्टोरल एरिया था उसको अर्बन कंसीडर कर लिया था, और जो आईसीटी एक डिपार्टमेंट बना हुआ था एक,
सर वो ये सर पाता है, बाकी जितने भी है वो उन्होंने 1.9 जो है वो सारे गवर्नमेंट कंसीडर
वो नहीं, इन डॉक्यूमेंट्स दिस इज होल अर्बन।
सर ये
सेग्रीगेशन नहीं है, सेग्रीगेशन नहीं है।
सेंसस में सर आप जाकर तो देख लीजिए, वहाँ पे क्लियर मेंशन है सारी चीज कि अपने इस्लामाबाद में अपनी लोकलिटीज जो है अर्बन हो गए। मेरा मतलब ये मतलब था कि सर अगर पाकिस्तान में देख ले तो सर्विसेज सेक्टर इंक्रीज हो रहा है, एग्रीकल्चर सेक्टर जो है वो डिक्लाइन है। तो अगर वहाँ पे एक साइड पे देख ले तो मसलन सर्विसेज सेक्टर जहाँ पे इंक्रीज होती है तो वहाँ पे ऑर्गेनाइजेशन होनी चाहिए। सर ह्यूज टाइप ऑर्गेनाइजेशन जहाँ पे एग्रीकल्चर ज्यादा होती है तो एग्रीकल्चर, मगर यहाँ पे बहुत ज्यादा ओवरवेट है इन चीजों की होती है। मेरा क्वेश्चन ये है कि अगर हाउसिंग पॉलिसी क्लियर होगी तो वो अर्बन
नहीं, हाउसिंग पॉलिसी जो मौजूदा हाउसिंग पॉलिसी है उसने पर्टिकुलरली इसको मेंशन किया है। नंबर 1 इज वी हैव टू प्रोटेक्ट आवर एग्रीकल्चरल लैंड। अच्छा, दूसरा आप सिटीज को देखें, हर सिटी की एक इकोनॉमिक बेस होती है। इफ यू लुक एट दैट वन, कोई कोस्टल एरिया है उसकी अपनी इकोनॉमी है, शिपिंग है, राइट, और फिशिंग है उसकी। आप इंडस्ट्रियल सिटी देखें तो उसकी इकोनॉमी इंडस्ट्री है। एडमिनिस्ट्रेटिव सिटी देखें उसकी इकोनॉमी क्या है, गवर्नमेंट एम्प्लॉयज है, गवर्नमेंट जॉब करते हो सारे। ठीक है। सो इस्लामाबाद जब इस्लामाबाद, अच्छा इस्लामाबाद की आप एग्जांपल देख लें, इस्लामाबाद को बहुत से लोग ये चाह रहे हैं कि यहाँ पे भी इंडस्ट्री होनी चाहिए, ये होना चाहिए। सो बिकॉज द रीजन इज, वो कहते हैं ना कि राइट पर्सन फॉर द राइट जॉब। अब एक डॉक्टर है, इवन एक जनरल फिजिशियन है, उसने भी 5 साल एमबीबीएस की है। उसके बाद कोई आई स्पेशलिस्ट है, कोई लिवर स्पेशलिस्ट है, कोई किडनी स्पेशलिस्ट है, और एक बंदा दूसरे के फील्ड में दखल अंदाजी नहीं करता। नो नो नो, यस आई कैन, मैं आपको जनरली एक एडवाइस कर सकता हूँ, बट फॉर डिटेल्ड ट्रीटमेंट यू हैव टू गो टू द कंसल्टेंट, और उसकी स्पेशलाइजेशन ये है। सो अनफॉर्चुनेटली ये जो अर्बन प्लानिंग है, जिसमें जमीन का एक ऐसा इशू है, तो सारे स्टेक होल्डर्स इन्वॉल्व होते हैं, वहां पे राइट पर्सन फॉर द राइट जॉब नहीं होता। अब बहुत से लोग कहते हैं कि जनाब यहाँ पे आप इस्लामाबाद में भी इंडस्ट्री लगा दें, इसको कर दें। So there have been 1-2 meetings here in this hall, and I was among the audience, and there was one person talking about this. मैंने कहा जब पहले ये डिसाइड करने की जरूरत है, हर सिटी को की एक शनाख्त होती है, तो इस्लामाबाद की शनाख्त है एन एडमिनिस्ट्रेटिव सिटी। तो इसका वो स्टेटस आप सोचें, जहन में रखें, और उसके मुताबिक फिर आप इसकी प्लानिंग करें। जो आप कह रहे हैं कि जनाब इंडस्ट्री होनी चाहिए इतनी ज्यादा, और तो वो तेरा पूरा बलोचिस्तान पड़ा है, आपका पूरा साउथ पंजाब आपके पास है। सो व्हाई डोंट यू गो देयर? सो आप इसका जो एक स्टेटस है उसको क्यों आप खराब करना चाहते हैं? सो ये जो सोच का फर्क है, और हर बंदा समझता है सो आई हैव दी, आई एम नॉलेजेबल, मैं सुप्रीम हूँ। और खास तौर पे वो डिसीजन मेकर्स जो हैं, वो कहते हैं जो हम कह रहे हैं हम ठीक कह रहे हैं। सो दैट इज द बिग मिस्टेक, जिस वजह से इश्यूज क्रिएट होते हैं। ठीक है,
Thank you, sir. Thank you. We have other questions as well, but
Any-
we'll
जस्ट क्विक
नहीं,
क्वेश्चन अगर आप
नहीं,
पूछना
but
चाहें।
we'll get back to them
Okay.
after the seminar.
ओके, सो
on
बिल्कुल
IT.
प्लीज फील फ्री।
Thank you so much all for coming. Thank you, sir, for coming here. We have time constraint. I know it's a wonderful discussion and engaging one as well, but we have time constraints, so we have to end this now. Thank you. Thank you so much for coming.
थैंक यू वेरी मच।